Meanwhile, on the bottom side of the fight, Mikyx now on the chase, flashing for the stun, forcing out the cleanse from Ice. But this should just be a quick turn back because Ice does not go down. BDS able to find the kill. Ice now looking to follow up. G2 over-committing.
As it didn't TP, okay? Fight, can you fight as is, but not TP.
No flash still. Yeah, no flash. Nice.
Okay, it's fine.
Baron nice start. By the way, I don't know if we can push the dash. We have like, even me and Astrid can do it too.
Yeah, and you guys show?
Yeah, you can show. Okay, we're hitting it.
Okay, nice, good job.
Good job, boys.
And welcome back to the desk as G2 takes game 1 here in our match of the week. And we see them brainstorming backstage, getting ready for the second game already. And Jamada, thank you so much for joining us today. What was the story of this game for you?
I mean, for me, it was probably the largest macro battle I think I've seen the LEC this year. And that, you know, you say brainstorming, I feel like G2's brains were on the front.
Oh, they're already storming. It's fine.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it really felt like specifically the mid game when there weren't objectives or neutral objectives up rubber, that G2 always had a plan like laid out in front of them. They were willing and very happy to allow to play out, and if BDS reacted, it seemed like they always had something ready for whatever BDS were trying to throw at them in those spaces of dead time.
And it's draft aside, GB, the way we set up the stage for both these teams was actually the way they played the objectives. Didn't work out too much for BDS, but they threw their gameplay, sticking to it, and G2 on the other side, again, coming back in impressive fashion whenever it comes to objective control.
Yeah, I mean, it really started with the early games as well, right? Where at first, Adam's worried about, oh, they have TF, I need to make a move down. But as soon as he sees Broken Blade TP's top, they realize it's going to be a 4 versus 4. And this is where we see some mistakes from G2, because the fact that Sheo is just allowed to place this ping ward and catch caps immediately to split up the fight makes this very difficult for G2 to play. The fact that G2 isn't really using their summoner spells synced up together, like Hansama just flashing in like that, and allowing BDS to then regroup, makes it very difficult for them to continue the fight.
Yeah, it does kind of set them on the back foot, right? And from this point, it feels like a bit of an overchase where now G2 feel like they have the opportunity to step forward, but realistically, Ice hasn't used any of his summoner spells. His positioning from the beginning was always fine, and then able to use them reactively. Another mistake from Caps, a bit stepping into what felt like, again, was sort of BDS's territory, and even though it ends up being an ult trade, it still impacts this next fight here at the Dragon.
Yeah, and I think this makes it very difficult as well, because right now BDS doesn't have the same tools in a chokehold as they would like. The Varus ultimate is used on a Vi that pretty much denies it with her own ultimate. Mikyx is ready with a preventative one, and as soon as they get the first pick by Broken Blade TPing in there, suddenly the tide start turning. But it's just every single time we had a dragon fight, or at least for the first 2 dragons that we had, small, micro things impacted how the fight was played out.
But also the way G2 was taking care of the map, and I want to know why wasn't BDS able to fight back in any case, because even though they were taking drakes, even though they were taking kills, it did not translate in anything on the map, Jamada. And in this sense, I had flashbacks of my time in the LCK last year, because G2 was really clean in the way they moved through the map this game.
Yeah, again, I mean, I feel like G2, once the Dragons were off the map, once there was no Herald available, well, BDS was the one that actually got their hands on that. They always, again, to me, it felt like they pick a side of the map and they will play for it. They had Caps on the side lane with teleport, ready to react if BDS overstep, and G2 were very happy to allow Caps to pick up whatever gold he would on the side lane, whilst the map effectively stayed in a bit of a neutral zone. G2 looking to, very happy to play reactive to then actually step on BDS's toes while they're trying to make the proactive play.
Yeah, I think we actually got a sequence of this as well that you're talking about, because we have these moments where it's cross-map into cross-map with teams trading all the time, into a moment here in the beginning of the Tier 2 where it just starts at a pickup on BB. This sequence is going to go as long that he's going to respawn, he's going to be back into it with a very bad ultimate, but still, the way this works is that BDS is setting up on top side, they have the Herald, they want to force this down, but down on the bottom side as well, Caps is currently setting up for a push down to the Tier 2 for himself, which means that they can trade this realistically speaking. Cap still has TP, but what they decide instead on G2 is to say, we do not need to go here. I'm going to cancel my back because I see Nuke TP and I'm going to get the turret for myself. And this gives Caps so much gold that allows them to have 2 items very early into the game that allows them to set up for the Baron. Now BB did misplay this sequence pretty heavily. He was the first one to get picked up and he ulted in to die immediately again after. But the way it didn't play out with the bot lane now and the top lane faking this Baron at the same time.
Comically, they make the best of a pretty bad situation. It gives Caps 2 items. The wave also actually on the top side is what allows for G2 to push back out and then have them kind of set up this area of control where it's just like, okay, well, I guess G2's bot lane is pushing out this wave as a response to what just happened. No, it's a feign for the Baron to be taken down.
And this was the big thing, because like a lot of players will maybe at times just look at the kills and see who gets ahead here. But I really recommend that you take a look at the map movements that G2 performed in this game. It's the reason that Caps remained as far ahead as he did, despite not having any kills. He was a threat. And then when it finally came down to it, well, he started picking up the kills. We saw the 2 versus 1 he was able to, well, 2 versus 4, or 1 versus 4, whatever it was up in that top lane, right? He ended up just being a monster, and that's even being behind in the early game.
Caps side lane god ? Honestly, in this game, that's what it came down to, and I'm just wondering how is BDS going to be able to fight back here. It looks like they want to approach things differently as they will be sitting on blue side for this game too. But what kind of improvements and adaptations do we want to see on the side of BDS? Because I feel like even looking at the draft, the Rumble felt awfully out of place here, and I wanna see them stay true to themselves, because it feels like with the way the game is played right now, they have enough tools. They don't have to dive into
I think my biggest problem with the Rumble is like a little less, it's on theme with BDS's comp,
yeah.
but it doesn't feel like it's really a good answer into what G2 have, right? And I think that's kind of the clear distinction for me. If you give Adam R5, you kind of want to give him a pick that's going to break the game, and it didn't feel like Rumble was a game-breaking pick to me when you're facing down Twisted Fate top. Yes, it's a very awkward pick to navigate, but things like the Olaf are up. If you wanted to go towards me, I don't know how the Cassante works, maybe, but definitely as sort of a pick that's going to disrupt the backline. I feel like that works a lot more as trying to stack on all of these ultimates, try and find the wombo combo. G2 saw that and just decided to go side lane the entire game.
That really is the beauty of the best of 5 as well. There's a lot of ifs right now with these new introductions of champions, this new patch as well that we haven't seen. What does that mean for the teams as well when they go ahead it? Because yeah, you can have played against it in scrims at times, but maybe you haven't, and maybe you're just going to have to try out stuff for the first times on stage as well, and that makes this such an exciting one to approach.
It was the first Twisted Fate top we had in LEC history, but looking at G2 social, again, looks like a double to triple flex pick for G2, and I'm like, BDS saw a glimpse of the Twisted Face here in game 1. I'm just wondering if G2 is going to use it again, and how are they going to use it, and do they have more here?
Yeah, I mean, it felt overforced to me. I don't think the TF did as much as it could have done. I think that they could have left it open if they wanted to, but it felt like an unknown factor they might not have been dealing with. Crucially for me is that Team BDS has left the Maokai open and banned the LeBlanc now as well. The same for Brand. So they're definitely looking for a Brand or Maokai here, and with the Brand being banned for G2, or the Maokai being banned by G2, suddenly this Brand races in priority.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's questions of the AD carry Varus, the Kalista. Varus is what BDS are going to prioritize here. So G2, the ball is in your court if you want that Brand yourselves as well as things like what I was kind of looking at before this series kicked off was actually the mid lane pool with the Azir banned. Nuke has only played 3 champions so far this split. I don't think it's going to be pinched here, but I do wonder if G2 are ever going to go down that avenue to try and try and push him off of those 3 champions. That would be the Azir, the Orianna, which we saw last game, and then the Nico, because that could also be a very valid way to try and shut down BDS, just like they did in game number 1. He will get his hands on the Orianna, it looks like, as G2 did pick up the Cassante alongside that Kalista.
Yeah, I think the Azir ban is really interesting. I think G2 was thinking that Nuke might have first picked Azir for BDS, and then they feel like that's such a powerful champion, which it is. But now at least he gets the Orianna to play around with as well. I'm just curious to see what Caps wants into that now as well, because his own mid lane pool has been trimmed quite a bit with the LeBlanc gone, with the Azir gone as well. There is still a Nico, which we know he's had a lot of fun with in the past, but there's still so many questions.
Ooh, wow. Labrov, Blitzcrank, it's been deadly in the past, and I feel like you want to be aggressive like this.
Yeah, I mean, whilst Labrov has definitely been hitting the mark, I kind of prefer him on things that will set up team fights as a whole. This is more obviously a playmaking pick tool. G2 will answer it with the Braum, so could be a little bit difficult to navigate in lane, but if the map starts to open up a little bit, there's always the opportunity of Blitzcrank might miss about 5 hooks in a row for 10 minutes, but all it takes is him landing 1 onto a key carry. So we'll track Labrov very keenly throughout the game, see exactly how he's going to deal, not just with the lane, but once the map starts to open up, as G2 definitely navigated the map openly very well last time.
Yeah, so junglers you can start taking away from Sheo. By blind picking the Cassante, it just makes me feel like there's not really any top lane of Adam that you're too worried about. But then again, I don't know the matchup of a lot of Adam's champions, so it's hard for me to say in that regard. But it looks like they're just going to continue to pin Sheo just a bit. Vi's been out, Rail is still available.
Yeah, it seems like G2's focus is going to be the junglers, despite not necessarily having one themselves. Adam could always lean back on the Garen if he feels like it's, you know, his answer.
One of his classics into Kalista specifically in team fights.
You know, there's 2 for 2 on G2's side, so I'm actually kind of wondering if G2 are wondering about pivoting off of a double jungle ban towards it. No, they want the Poppy. They feel like it's going to be too big an issue for the team fighting side of things if they let it go through this time around. And for BDS, I mean, is it just another cap span?
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I think the brand, for example, has fallen fully out of favor because you already have an AP mid on Orianna. If you take an AD mid, if you pick an AP jungler on G2, they usually don't do too well into Orianna when they have to walk into her. So I think that's just going to be out of the question. I feel like you're just going to pinch caps as much as you can. No, the Yike Belvet is coming through as a response here.
Yeah, I'm really kind of scratching my head at what exactly G2 will go towards as a prio. Lillia.
They
so they're
will
going to
still go for AP. Okay, so that is
Lillia Yone? Is this what this is?
It's another G2 classic. We've seen it before. We know how well they can play on these duos.
Yeah, definitely. They definitely can. And Lillia's the kind of champion which, for Yike, I feel like he could very easily take over a jungle matchup if he's got priority. And I feel like across the board right now, bottom lane should have prio. Top side, if this does go through, as Adam going towards the Gnar, K'Sante's got pretty strong windows to all in him once the level 6 rolls through. So I feel like that's not going to be an issue either. And Sheo, with all of these jungle bans, I guess, yeah, Zhao still up, so he's going to have a strong skirmishing option. But again, I feel like once the level 6 rolls through, I am speaking about this and anticipating this will be a caps Yone. It could be quite a few other AD options, but
the thing is,
R5
like,
will come through.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, Tristana, I've spoken to so many of the mid laners, like, when they see Orianna, they don't want to go Tristana. Like, so many times that goes wrong for them. They still pick it at times then, because they think they can beat the matchup still, but we don't often see it.
Akali or Sylas?
Harley, Sylas, I mean, they definitely want a skirmisher. That's the main thing. They want something that's
I think
gonna...
you're right on the money.
Oh.
Yeah, it just makes too much sense.
Do it.
And it's the most fun, by far. Oh, wow!
That makes it even more fun, doesn't it? We go
Wait,
back
so
to
do
the
we see-
classic.
Is it going mid lane? Or do we see BB on mid lane?
That should be mid lane. What?
No,
I
that
mean,
could be top.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking about.
Yes, it's Yasuo into Gnar. It's a classic. It's a classic.
I don't see any surprises when I look at the champions that G2 are playing right now, because even though there's a lot of flex, this is what they do. On the side of BDS, that's the champion that brought them the most success so far, on the outside of Gnar being a first for add-on this year. What do we make of this? Who's taking this one? And is it the adjustments you want to see from BDS?
No.
No,
Flatly.
perfect.
I feel like, to me, BDS are really honing in on the fact that their strength has been team fighting, which is obviously great. You want to see a team play into their strengths. But G2 just dismantled you on the side lanes.
Yoning in.
And again, to me, G2, they can play sides. They can play team fights really well. They've got decent amounts of pick through those ultimates of Lillia and Yasuo. So I'm very, very worried for BDS. They're going to have to try and force G2 into opportunities where they can actually 5v5.
Well, let's see if G2 can move on to match point as we hit the rift for game 2.
Thank you very much, Laure. And another banging draft. I feel like BDS, they've got what they want. Very similar. It's stable. It's ready to fight under mostly 5v5 circumstances. A little bit on the side lane as well. G2, they've cooked the same thing, and it's spicy, I'll tell you, but I don't think it's as threatening as the previous draft.
I mean, I didn't think the previous draft was that threatening, and then they proved me wrong. I mean, I'll be honest, my perception on... I mean, I will say that Europe just likes to fight a lot, right? Like, we have a lot of skirmishes, we have a lot of fights around neutrals.
Oh, you mean the LEC? Okay, okay. I wasn't sure if that was a greater historical point.
No, right now. And I think that G2 are trying to separate themselves from the pack by just playing around the map very well.
No one answered Sheo.
Is that a fist bump? Yeah, I saw that thumbs up, though.
Yeah, because he got left alone. Nobody fist bumped.
Fun fact, though, we saw the Gnar locked in for Adam. I was like, Adam? Gnar? Had a look through his history. This man has 15 games across his career with an 87% win rate.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. There are so many other Gnar players that I can think of. I never
he's also
associated with Adam.
played it more than Garen, so technically that's the G in gods. It's just the lesser known, much less sexy version of that G.
It's the silent G.
It's that
Everyone remembers Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon. No one remembers Artemis, you know?
The big three, man. You don't get anything for loving animals. You gotta rule the seas or the underworld or lightning or whatever.
Anyway, K'Sante mid, we also made the joke that Caps really is chovying today.
Yeah, definitely coming true. Labrov stepping forward there briefly, sees a Braum and goes, yeah, never mind. Definitely not a champion you want to hook level 1. And yeah, K'Sante mid, we were talking about it a little bit while the desk was doing picks and bans. If you're wondering how, let's remind you of the new season. Is there an item that comes to your mind? Say it with me. Kanik Rooker. There it is. Anytime you're good against an AP champion suddenly, that's probably why.
Yeah, Kasante's just going to build full tank. Those, no crazy
and do damage, which is normal Kasante things, but now in mid.
Yeah, I mean, like, in particular, I do remember, I'm pretty sure it was Chovy that just solo killed an Orianna in this matchup on Kasante. That was before Kanik Rooker was a thing.
Yeah, and to be fair, last year when Kasante mid was good, our region sucked at it. So I'm curious to see if we're better at it, because I was sweating when we were heading into MSI, and we had seen a single Caps game on Kasante where he dove a tower and immediately died.
I do remember that.
So hoping for a different performance this time around. We'll see how he fares against the Orianna early on, as Broken Blade and Adam are trading. Of course, the flex there was to secure Broken Blade. This matchup, the considered slightly favorable Yasuo versus Gnar matchup. And it looks significantly favorable right now, but Adam has that Fury bar, can just transform in an instant. And Broken Blade,
doesn't know.
Oh, he doesn't know. Knockup's good. Sheo can just make wind become lightning. Broken Blade will surely become
But if he takes
mincemeat.
it, he does flash over the wall.
Dash through him, flash over, flash out. He's running, but that's a red buff. The red. Extra Q. Whoa! First blood going through. Don't know if he needed to burn the flash, but gets the flash for flash, at least meanwhile on the bottom side. Here comes Lillia, Fawn on the way in. Ice already finding the kill. They're not going to get one back. Labrov, the last man standing, left all alone under his towers with no carries left.
So 1-for-1 in the bot lane, a successful gank in the top side of the map. Sheo looking for another play though.
Adam, a little bit more damage, follow up there. Q3 available, fired back onto Adam. They just want to push this wave in.
That's the thing, they get the TP still for Adam, so chip damage on BB is actually just going to stick around and be super nice. So Adam getting a great advantage now in this top matchup, which BB has played before, but definitely had a better time in that matchup, I'll say. Whereas on the bottom half of the map, things went very differently. But we're just going to see Sheo. I mean, nice gank timing, manages to get up here, and there's nothing BB can do in this position.
Yeah, I
break this down, Betty. What happened here?
So there was a bit of a mental game here, because Sheo knew the moment that he went over the wall, there was an opportunity for Broken Blade to flash. So he immediately flashes to close that gap, and then Broken Blade tries to flash away. The red buff, though, acting as an effective slow. Mikyx diving this deep was surprising, because it ultimately entered a 1-for-1. The good news for G2 is it's AD carry for support trades, which means that some farm was lost, but like I don't think Ice is too upset about that, because you can see the goal difference not that significant. Overall, I think BDS is happy with the overall trades that they got on the map.
It is a little bit of an awkward back timer though, because he only has double longsword and not the full serrated Dirk. But again, yeah, I don't think it's the biggest concern. The one who has a much more unfortunate back is Broken Blade on the top side. Only a dagger and a refillable. You really want boots too as early as possible in 90% of situations is Yasuo, because it's just such a strong early purchase. Not having that on recall, not knowing when you're going to get that next opportunity for a clean recall, though it seems it should just be here, can put you far behind early on. Good news is Broken Blade, even without it, still able to find top lane push and get a chance to reset.
Yeah, I mean, with the fact that the wave was coming bouncing back off, managing to pick up all that. I even saw Mikyx moving in towards mid to make sure the Caps was going to have a little bit of an easier time CSing some of this as well, because he hasn't really got to the position where he has that early no magic mantle for himself to keep himself topped up. And as well, having these biscuits is very quickly going to start to burn through them. With Nuke having no mana though, he's managed to survive the worst part of this laning phase, and now he kind of just gets to chill once he goes back and pick up that white cloak for himself.
And it's frustrating for Nuke, because even if you feel like you're getting a slight advantage and you have the push, and now you have Lost Chapter, you're going to feel like it's a little bit of a bigger advantage. Eventually, you're just not going to do anything to Kasante. And it is kind of just Nuke versus the amount of money it costs to buy a Kanik Rooker. So for now, see if he can extend that lead any further. Level 6 now coming in, Shockwave, great opportunity. Unstoppable for Caps is clutch there to get him out to safety.
I mean, well played from both sides. Nuke recognizing this guy's in kill range.
Wants the kill.
Ooh, goes for it. We'll take a tower shot, but he's not too upset about that. Nuke had a great laning phase in game 1, really bullying Caps out and getting a healthy lane lead. He's trying to replicate that performance in this game. Fortunately, with the TP going to come through from Caps, that damage isn't going to stick, and there's the early Merc treads. Now, Dragon being started off, fresh base coming out from Caps, but 4 members on this Dragon for BDS.
Nuke
Adam
here.
is here as well.
Adam on the way. No Shockwave for Nuke, and G2 know it. Favored if they have equal members just because of the early power of the Braum and skirmishes, but Sheo very strong early on. Caps doesn't really have an angle in. Labrov now fishing for a hook. Can he hit Han Sama? Flash out. He certainly could have. Flash will take Hansama to safety, and BDS just walk in and take the objective. Thanks for the leash.
It's a good read from G2 though. They're like, where the hell is Adam? We haven't seen him on top wave, and BB's about to hit his turret, so they're kind of expecting something to be cooking from BDS, so don't overextend to try and fight the dragon and then end up giving lives as well. So at least BDS, with the TP now back top, just bully G2 off, and BDS, I mean, again, keeping control of the early game.
Nice pushback, good damage coming in for Caps. Gonna try to take him away from the tower. Is gonna be able to do so successfully. Nuke forced to flash out.
K'Sante.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've seen it once, and you're gonna see it again every week until they nerf it.
So, I mean, control mages also just kind of like, there's not much you can do against it, right? Like, it's just, if he's able to get that knock up and lock you down, you are just forced to flash. So, Caps will get the flash out from Nuke. Did want to just quickly go back, because that play from Adam is something that we do see a lot from him as a player. He's talked about it multiple times in interview. He wants to try and do what he can for the team. He is going to lose a bit of gold as a result of that. The flash is forced out as Yike looks for an opportunity there as well. But I just like the idea that he doesn't have to immediately TP back to top. He instead uses that window to go and try and help his team. And credit to him, because I think that even if he wasn't there, they still probably would have secured the dragon, because just that presence of mind where Adam is very team focused and trying to support his team is something that has contributed a lot to BDS's success this one.
I mean, I think it certainly has. And across the board, I think BDS have had just a fantastic regular season, no doubt, and an even cleaner road than G2 getting here in a lot of respects. G2, of course, dropping Game of Fnatic, BDS 2-0s across the board. The other big part of that for me is Nuke. He's doing well on this Orianna, but I think, as highlighted, is going to be in a really difficult situation the longer this laning phase goes on. That said, when you look at, you know, straight up simple front to back, it's easy to see how BDS win the game, and so it's on G2 again in this game, kind of as it was in game one, to continuously split at the map and show us how dominant they can be in the mid game again and stop BDS from finding those full-on 5v5 angles.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and do that right now, moving up towards BB. Sheo in position though.
Tornado going wide is big there. Wind wall to block the boomerang. Another Q3 available. BB's just, he's dancing back, he's just doing Yasuo things.
But this is the difference from last game, right? G2 feel less pressure to try and move down towards bot side, because you got a Braum, you're not really going to be able to get very much down in that bot lane, and you've kind of neutralized that matchup with Mikyx into the Blitzcrank, so you're going to be able to put a lot more pressure towards BB in this top side and see if you can get that early lead. And once you do, it becomes very difficult to deal with this Yasuo as you start to get into the later portion of the game. And if you start to get like the knockbacks from K'Sante, knock up from Mikyx, big Yike ults as well to try and set them up, they're in a great spot.
Knock up, stepping forward here. 3 stacks and cuts blows. Braum gonna flash out to safety. Nice root coming in, just barely able to connect on a Hansama there.
Pressure coming down from the G2 bot lane. Labrov wasn't expecting him to be forced to flash there, but he's respecting the potential damage. Seeing Sheo on the map, he is pathing towards the bot side. Oh, Broken Blade's actually going to pick up the Scuttle Crab on top, and Caps going to use his mid-prio to get a bit of information, see what he can fish out. Looks like for now his priority is just clearing out this vision. Dragon in about 1:45. You imagine that'll be the next major objective. Is Caps in danger?
Caps potentially over-eager here. Unstoppable going to take Labrov out. Fish for the 1v1. Unstoppable now going to go back in. Yike on the way forward. They're just going to grab a quick support kill. They're not going to finish off Caps. Clean combination over the wall. Is there any follow-up here? Piercing arrow going to be mitigated. Ulti coming in from Kalista just in time to save the day.
I hate that. The fact that Caps is way overextended. He's like, Labrov, get over here. We're going down.
I actually 100% think I know why K'Sante is too good and will always be too good. Do you want to hear my thing?
Tell me.
He decides when you fight. He is a tank who ignores all damage until he decides it's time for you to fight on even terms. And so if you have hands and you're decent at this champion, you always get to pick good fights forever. And when you're not picking good fights, you are unkillable. You cannot die. You cannot be punished. So when you're playing Orianna, who has a very limited number of situations where she's like, ah, yeah, this is a good fight for me, you're never going to have fun against a K'Sante.
I mean, the good news is that Caps did end up losing his life in that exchange, which is the Nuke able to push out that wave, get a decent CS lead now, goes back on a nice base, has a decent amount of damage, so entering this mid game, she's going to be in a strong spot, which is ideally what you want from BDS, right? Their wombo combo is one of the biggest strengths of this composition. We've seen them execute this same or a similar draft to this before, where you have the Zhao engaged, the Orianna ball on top, and they make it work. The gold is dead even right now. The kill's slightly in favor of BDS. We'll see how things translate as the Dragon now spawning in 15 seconds.
I think you've even got the opportunity to try and unlock Labrov a little bit when it gets towards the mid-game too, where if you can link up with Sheo, you just try and fish for hooks over the walls. Like if you spot Yike, if you can try and catch like BB overextending the side lane, like you actually have members that you can very quickly catch out. Once you're playing away from Caps or Mikyx, like realistically, you've got good options here for BDS. So if they're able to keep control of this, they should be in a good spot. Again, the only big problem for them is if BB can get this lead in the top side. And at the moment, it's somewhat there, but it's not massive where they have to be concerned at the moment.
Yeah, crazy how close so many of these early games end up being. Consistently just dead to even in gold, very often coming down to the mid game where the gold leads start to explode as the towers fall. G2 going to match up here, 1-1 should just be the score on Drakes. See if they can get anything else. Only the 3 Void Grubs coming across thus far.
Looks like BDS have their eyes on top. You see Labrov making his way up there. The Grub's going to be spawning any second. Should be an easy cross map. Will they go for the dive as well, though? Ward is going to be spotted out by the sweeper. The problem is the amount of control they have. You can see Cassante now feels very confident to get that push. Broken Blade recognizes that he is in danger. How would G2 cross map? The problem is there is nothing to cross map. Look, BDS have actually sent Ice up towards top lane as well.
And G2 already got the bot lane objective, so it's really easy for BDS to force a dive, get a tower, and get the 6 grub buff, which is pretty significant at this stage of the game. Varus going to do a lot of damage to this tower as well. Alongside Adam, we'll see how many more plates they can get down. They're starting the grubs at the same time. So in the tower race right now, BDS, bad news is they didn't cut the wave. So it's going to be a little bit slower than what G2 are going to be able to do right here in bot lane.
The only advantage, I would say, is that Hansama got the full plates, whereas this one was shared. If Ice can get another one, of course, he should still be victorious overall in terms of gold. But the Yasuo TPing in bot lane to get that tempo advantage. I wonder if this tower is actually going to fall or not. Like, the resistance is pretty significant.
They have the 6 grub buff now. They're going to do enough true damage just over time. Just
Top will fall? I don't know if bot will. I
mean, Adam should get there in time, I think,
that's what I think. I think you actually BDS win out on this because you get the
grubs matter! Guys, we proved it! Grubs matter!
Well, I think that's the thing right here. You get the push on top. You get the extra advantage. Now, Adam's here to clear out. So BDS, they just had that tempo lead, even though BB TP'd in. I think Hans needed to stick around for a little while, but either way, like, BDS just playing out the fact that they have the faster push. Now they get the reset quicker, and they can start to move out, particularly for Rift Tower that's just up in a couple of seconds. They can actually push in mid-wave because Varus is reset quicker, and then use that mid-pressure to play for the Rift Tower.
And when BDS are ahead on tempo, it's really just hard in general for G2 to play the game if they're not willing to force a fight, because again, their wave clear is not good. Every single one of their champions, pretty lackluster compared to their opposing number. G2, though, just trying to force the objective down, try to bring BDS to them. Broken Blade trying to get a little bit of mid-power, or at least match what Varus is bringing to the table as Mikyx just threatens. Nuke now coming in, level 11, 2 points in that shockwave. Sheo looking to be the ball delivery system, but they don't want to burn it on a single target. Instead, the objective is the focus, but only one jungler is next to it for now. Yike now prancing his way in. Caps fishing for a flank, looking for the angle. G2 ready to force the fight. They've already gotten the Herald. They want to get a little bit more. Sheo isolated. Nuke nowhere to be found, and the jungler is already dead. It's too late for BDS. A split call overall, and now Orianna going to be the one in trouble, looking for a little bit of follow-up here. Nuke going to be forced to flash out to safety. The rest of BDS now trying to find the backside. Eyes on Adam! It's 3! Immediately into the wall for follow-up, but now they've been brought back. A clean combo! Cassandra and the Yasuo to bring them out of the fight, but BDS are there. They're ready to turn. After 2 games, they're finally finding their fight, but it's G2 coming out top. Eyes on Broken Blade. 2 Q stacks, 1 Q stack, ready to go. Wind wall, 4th concussive blow. He just needs to land the Q, but he doesn't quite have the timing. Mikyx looking to land the Q over the wall. He does manage to connect it. He's going to be in trouble. That's been his stun coming in. Fuck kill follow-up is there. Yike on a rampage. G2 getting the fight.
A perfect ward placement for Caps to come into the fight means that BDS have to abandon everything on the Rift Herald, and they just cannot get into position. Adam had walked his way from bot side and was in mid lane as everything kicked off. But you can see here, BDS, they're able to contest the mid-push. Yike flashes over the wall, and with that then G2 and the TP coming in. BB, great flank position. Caps, great flank position. Nuke separated from the team. And it means that this isn't an even fight for BDS, even though all members in theory are present.
Love the re-engage from BDS, though. Nuke, yeah, he has to flash away here, but look, a bit of a blunder. Mikyx ends up going into the wall, so the follow-up can't come through the flash, but then watch Adam here. Beautiful 3-person ultimate. Locks them down. And that means that Adam is then dragged away, but he's able to regroup with his team. It's at this point where I'm thinking G2 don't actually quite have the damage. They get that execute down onto Caps, but now BDS really have ran out of steam. They are too broken up. And then Mikyx able to connect the Q and then dash over to safety as well. means that it ends up being a single kill in favor and the Herald going to G2. Very close back and forth exchange.
And I'm not 100%, but I think Nuke might have even had that ultimate up for the entirety of that fight. I needed to double check, which means that, like, if he was actually able to be present for that fight with how low G2 were with the Adam combo, that could have been it behind.
Nice size from Hansama. Dashes back over the wall, trying to turn that back onto ice. But it's a good call out, Dagda. You're completely correct. Nuke and Sheo were looking for the setup, trying to find the angle. Then Nuke backs off, Sheo continues to step forward, and that's when G2 pounced on the fight. And Vedi, while it's comedic that Mikyx didn't make it over the wall, it actually stops Ice from doing damage and ends up being the better play in the context of the fight. Brokenboy, though, now chasing onto Sheo. Sheo going to try to make it out to safety, just barely getting away from that tornado. As G2 taking full control of the top side. And while earlier I said, hey, losing out on tempo, G2's comp's going to feel pretty tough to play. When they've got a lead like this and they can bully into mid, it's going to feel damn good. Labrov looking to fish. But immediate pullback from the ulti. Adam now coming in, has locked up the Kalista. Ice trying to free fire. A brief moment where the Braum Unbreakable is down, and they're going to try to find a little bit more damage back. Ice not connecting the arrow is crucial there. Already one going down. Tower dropping on the bottom side in the meantime. 2 quick kills picked over to the side of G2 Esports. Caps.
He chooses not to ult. Looks like he doesn't want to overcommit the play. They know the dragon is up, and that's their objective. BDS, I like the idea, the TP into the mid lane. They have the Orianna Shockwave, but it only connects onto Mikyx, who doesn't even lose his life in the exchange. And Hansama is able to sidestep that oncoming onslaught, and then they can just focus down Adam, who is the only target that is really any real threat to them. So we'll look back at this re-engage. The Hex Flash over the wall looks like a good collapse possibility, but keep your eyes on Hans here. A good ultimate from Adam, but then the wall acting as Mikyx, then the Shockwave doesn't quite connect, only hits onto Mikyx, and then Adam has to lose his life. Yike then doing enough damage. LeBron probably wasn't expecting that to actually get that extra kill, making it a 2-for-0 and a dragon to boot.
Also, the Mikyx knockup prevented the wall up from Adam. So there was no real way to try and keep Hansama locked up after the initial Gnar had gone into the wall. So big upset coming through there with Mikyx being able to disrupt that. So nicely done. Where then Hans doesn't even have to burn cleanse to try and get away from that fight. Still has it now. Flash going to be up soon as well. And as you start to look towards things like, look, I know it's 19.5 or 18.5 minutes, but barring in a minute 20, like having that available, we've seen that G2 are no problem going for some of these early objectives as well this series. So nicely done by the G2 bot lane to keep themselves nicely topped up.
Yeah, close to Yasuo, potentially champions who could look to take that major objective, and Yike is incredibly strong. Something we've kind of grown accustomed to when we see him on this Lillia, but double burn items, or double mask items, going to feel very good at this stage of the game. Both the Riftmaker and the Leandri's Torment. He hurts, as Labrov found out in the previous fight, and now he's driving his way down the mid lane. They really want to break this mid lane tower. Should just be able to grab it here. Mikyx with the Unbreakable still up and available. Hansama with the ulti as well, it looks like. Oh, not going to be forced to use it.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he actually didn't use the ult there. Instead, Mikyx chooses to flash away. I'm pretty sure it is up. But all right, fair enough. They hold on to it for now. Mikyx not going to be too upset with losing his flash, given that he does have the Kalista ultimate still. But G2 find themselves with a gold lead once again. It feels like BDS, one of the biggest things you said about them is regardless of the state that they're in, they always find a way to get a good team fight. And it feels like that is the hardest thing to do against G2. That multiple times we've seen opportunities, and then they're typically good synchronization just gets disrupted. Like the summary that Dagda gave in that earlier fight was everyone is split apart, right? Yeah. And then by the time that they were all finally able to group up together, the health bars just weren't quite there and everything fell apart. So we're still waiting to see this one-sided 5v5 in favor of BDS, and they're going to need to find that optimal setup to force G2 into that scenario, because unless Nuke can land that shockwave onto those optimal targets, it's going to be difficult to navigate their way around, especially with this prancing Yike who's just going to consistently do that DPS, the ever-moving Hansama, like the Yasuo that's waiting for the knockup, right? It's an obnoxious comp to play into.
And I think for BDS, it's a tough reckoning to face down, right? Because something that you have been so good at against the vast majority of teams in our league, G2 are also good at. They're also good at picking good fights. They recognize your windows of opportunity and are not willing to just give them to you. BDS's mid game is good, much better than just about everybody else's in our league. but definitely not better than G2's, and that's putting them in a really tough spot because G2 say, you want to fight right now? Great. We're going to wait for Orianna to back up, and in that split second, we're going to pull the trigger because we recognize that's your moment of weakness. And BDS haven't been contested like that against most teams.
But I also want to draw attention to the way like G2 are playing at the moment, because what you'll often see is when you have a Blitzcrank on the opposite team, it's very difficult for you to try and contest for like deeper vision, right? But G2 are never trying to overextend in these moments, but they're also constantly hiding where BB and Caps are on the map. So watch, as soon as these waves get pushed in, there's no vision in the river. There's no vision really in their own bot side jungle. So all the BB and Caps are doing is just rotating out a lane, hiding, and making it impossible for Labrov to actually go for any sort of hook. Because if you go for a hook, there's a high chance there's suddenly 5 members of G2 there and they immediately pounce on you, right? Or you have to burn a TP to try and match that play. So it's becoming very difficult for BDS to try and find these windows where they can play off of a Blitzcrank hook to get them back into this game, even though that is always a possibility.
That's so annoying. Adam's just walking mid and he gets hit by a Lillia.
It's a little comedic where Ice is like, oh, graciously sidestep, and the Yordle just walks in and just...
Also, we do have to say, he made a big deal about Kenny. He doesn't go for Kenny Roof.
No, interesting. Hollow Radiance. So just to have the wave clear, any MR will do, it appears. You'd assume that Kenny Rookarn would be...
It's like, no, any MR's fine. I'm good.
I'm Cassante, I don't know.
Yeah.
Infinity Edge done as well for Yasuo means that he's now a side lane problem. I mean, he was already a bit of one earlier, but now he's a real problem.
And Randuin's is going to feel like a good counter purchase from Adam.
Oh,
but
for sure.
If you mismatch the lanes at all, that IE going to shred through that Varus especially quite quickly.
Caps, we consistently see him move into side lanes and push very deep into those sides. Hasn't been forced to use the TP just yet. Nuke does have a slight experience advantage, but the Dragon spawning in about 25 seconds. What are BDS going to do? Because when we look at the map, it is G2 that is first to the objective once again. Nuke is making his way down to group up with the team. BDS are looking to use their numbers to force control over this wave, and if they can unlock this tower, then it makes accessing the river that much easier. But now with numbers, let's see what they can do.
TP coming in
TP from behind. BDS, what's the call? Double TP now coming in. Caps immediately going to go in, fishing for the Q3 onto Ice. Going to isolate Ice and make sure that he doesn't have a support to cover. Mikyx now looking for the knock. He's going to connect onto Nuke. Broken Blade immediately into the backline. Adam trying to disengage as quickly as he can, but both carries are scattered. They can't even get a chance to do any damage whatsoever. G2 trying to break through the front line. Yasuo down. Clean coming in from Labrov to finish off the kill there, but Caps goes in, hitting 2 with the Q3. Kassanting his way through the backline. Top lane, mid lane. It doesn't matter. That's a damn powerful pick.
I was watching the end of that fight going, G2, you're only 3 members. There are 4 on BDS, and they're starting to reunite. They're starting to find their opportunity to turn around. And Caps goes, nah, I don't care. I don't care. I'm going to go in. I'm going to absolutely destroy you. Yike, dealing so much damage on this Lillia. And just like that, G2 are able to pick up the Baron.
Yeah, I mean, I really thought that was a really good fight for BDS, right?
Yeah.
They were retreating while also getting 2 kills. And I thought, if you can just get to your tower, you'll be fine. You can then reset, make your way back out onto the map. You can contest the Dragon, even threaten the Baron. You have a lot of options. This is an overstep from G2. And we look at the start of this, Ice actually gets away to safety here. Flashes away, the ultimate doesn't connect, the Guardian procs, gets away from the Yasuo, he's looking good. BDS gets that initial kill, then the Yasuo drops. And it's at this point you're thinking, okay, as long as BDS can disengage, they're fine. But then Cap sits there and goes, hey, want to see me Cassante? And he gets a 2-man knockback, closes the gap onto Ice, and in a 3 versus 4 closeout to the fight, G2 end up closing it out.
And I think the big thing there is that single moment of overconfidence where BDS stepped back into that brush, costing them dearly. G2 now just trying to force another fight. Sheo's ult coming up just in time. Knock up there. Good start, Yike. Buys a moment. Will it be enough? Damage follow-up. Nice shockwave onto 2. Caps waiting for his chance to go over the wall. Hansama flashing out to safety. Still standing. Broken Blade trying to turn this one back. Just dashing. Getting a bit more room. Knock up there. Broken Blade immediately going to ult, but probably just going to die for it. No reason to commit back in. Crypt Bloom healing coming in. BDS looking strong. Denying so much of what the Baron could have given G2.
Finally, BDS punished the over-aggression from G2. Sheo tanks up so much damage. Initially looking like he's caught out, but he has the ultimate to buy enough time. Yike ends up over the wall, and G2 are in this very awkward spot that give BDS a lot of space to play with. They get a bunch of flashes out from G2. They find themselves a kill onto Broken Blades, and now they've alleviated some of the pressure that G2 have been putting down all game.
And that's just the perfect spot for BDS to fight, right? You have multiple different opportunities to spread out. Nuke can go one way, Ice goes another. You get great control of that choke zone as you start to come through with Ice and Nuke's ultimates. We got to see it there where Hansama gets caught out by it. Like, that was not the position that you want to be fighting as G2. And as you say, it's just overconfidence from G2 right now.
Hooking to Mikyx. Adam can just fall off and lay down a bunch of CC. Should be an easy kill onto him. Flashing back out, but Ice gives him a little present on his way out, sends him straight to the grave.
Nicely done. Another good punish, and we can see the overconfidence starting to rear its head from G2. We've seen them lose games like this before. With the gold lead that they have, you would naturally favor them moving forward in this game, but BDS, they're holding strong, and they're finding good opportunities to punish this G2 squad. That Baron, only a 700 gold lead in favor of G2.
And we said it earlier, when BDS get the 5v5, they're so damn good at 5v5ing, and it was only a tiny mistake in the first fight that allowed G2 to come out on top. G2 get over-eager in the second, and BDS are quick to remind them of that. Even quicker to remind Mikyx. He's got no business being in that jungle without Hans in the area to kind of bail him out. Trickier now for G2. Yes, they have a sizable gold lead, but again, when it comes to team fights, things only get easier for BDS as Nuke gets more and more damage under his belt.
And look at this. Yike, no flash. Handsummer, no flash. Mikyx, no flash. Caps, his flash should be up the next time you expect to fight, whereas BDS's summoners all coming back off. So if BDS can find a window while these summoner spells are down, there's a very good opportunity for them to come out ahead in this next fight. The only problem for them is there's no real objective for them to fight over. Dragon is still 3 minutes away. By that time, you're likely going to see all these summoner spells back up, but I'd love to see BDS try and force something in this window where they have a clear summoner spell advantage.
It's so hard when you got like Yasuo who's going to control side lanes, trying to get that push. You can try and maybe look for a hook here with Labrov as G2 try and get vision, but with the amount of control that G2 have on the map, trying to be the ones to force a fight is really, really difficult when you're behind like this. So I don't know how BDS, unless they just like keep ping-ponging waves until next dragon where you fish for it. But I think there is an argument for BDS when it gets towards next dragon to go like, hey, we're gonna actually play for Baron vision. Because I think the best way for you to beat G2 in this scenario is to like have them come in blind into you and try and set up, but we're gonna hold on to this point.
Cap stepping forward, trying to isolate Nuke. Looking for the knockback. Shockwave pulls away here. Flash away from the Q3. Cap's looking to flash follow. Uh-oh. Walking a bit too far. Uh-oh. Cap's just gonna wander away. Should be fine for now. Ice, nice dash back again. Caps, can he get out of this one? Gonna get away from the ultimate. Gonna get the kill! And this is the problem. He gets to the side when he takes damage. Finally, the shutdown will come through.
No, he is not allowed to do that. Caps was inting. Okay, Caps was making a mistake.
Yes, he walked in, he took 30 tower shots, he still lived, decided now I will be squishy, and one-shot Nuke.
Oh, I feel so bad for Nuke there. Like, Nuke outplayed Caps. Yeah. He was doing everything right, and he still died.
That's just unfair.
But that is so frustrating.
A bunch of money for Ice, and again, G2 have a gold lead. It's 90% Yike. So if BDS start a fight by getting a pick, hold that thought. Adam surely just caught out here. That's just too much CC. Yeah, goodbye.
He didn't get to play the game. Yeah. He just didn't. And this is kind of what G2 do, right? It's like, hey, look, Caps managed to go one for on top side. All right, let's just be annoying and look for a pick in your off of this brush as well.
Replay. Yeah. So the flash away from the knockback, and it's this flash that's the ultimate mistake, because now Cassante should be in a really horrible spot, right? The slow is applied well. Orianna's trying to keep the spacing, but that still connects. I guess if Orianna was slightly further away, just let the Varus try and finish him off, then it would have been fine. But he almost gets the kill on the Varus here as well.
Yeah, I mean, that is...
And Cap's like, yeah, just another Sunday for me.
I mean, got in range for the ult. So you can fault Nuke there, maybe a little bit too close. But, yeah, Cassante, Broken Blade, nice, trying to isolate Ice backsteps! Ulti coming in! Oh, Broken Blade is in his head. I don't know how he speaks Korean, but that was a mind read play right there.
Goes from Ice in the veins to BB in the veins. That's how it goes, yeah. But G2, trying to see now if they can set up for the Dragon. The fact that you get that flash coming through from Ice makes it significantly easier now for you to go to that objective. You have Hansama's ultimate, I believe, is just going to be back up in just a couple of seconds as well. So on G2 side, everything apart from Caps' flash is going to be up and available, whereas you're significantly more vulnerable with the two carries on BDS' side. So I think this is where they should try and play for Baron vision. If you have G2 trying to contest you here and pushing in towards this, you can play for big ults, you can play for picks with Labrov, you can make it difficult for G2 to play the game. And just trying to full-on contest the vision that G2 already have established is just way too difficult.
BDS there, forcing the Baron.
Start. Caps waiting off to the side. Yike is terrifying. Grouping against Yike is a horrifying prospect. BDS, where are they going to go? What is the actual call here? Right now, they're just being slowly ushered out of the pit. You are no longer welcome.
From Broken Blade, though. So the question is, how did G2 respond? Flash, respond.
Trying to force Labrov. Knock up only onto Labrov for now, but he's going to be in trouble. Instant unbreakable to stop any potential follow-up here. Ice just trying to disengage. Caps continuing to walk forward, taking absolutely zero damage. Swirl Seed connecting onto one. Sleep down onto Ice. Broken Blade into the backline. Sheo trying to get a little bit more room. Ice taken out, and the Yasuo starting to take over. Good shutdown. Yike continuing to move in. G2 gets so much on the back of that. Adam's going to go Mega, but it's just too late. Hansama taking down Sheo. G2 could just end right here.
I think G2 are going to do it. Labrov goes to the flash to try and get that hook at the Hansama, but just barely misses, and G2 see their opportunity, and they'll take the base.
Inhibitor falling. They've got a wave. Adam, can he clear it? The last man standing? No, the Unbreakable is there for Mikyx. The wind wall is going to be there for Yasuo, too, to stop any potential follow-up. Cap stepping forward and body blocking. Labrov on the way in. If he doesn't hook someone back into the fountain, I don't see how they're possibly going to make this work. G2 focused on the objective, and the objective is to finish this series 2-0. Match point for G2.
I was not expecting the game to end that way, but BDS said, we need to try and force a fight. Let's try and make something happen around the Baron. And then G2, they navigate around it, and it all started with that initial Labrov flash. He's the one that tried to find that pick. Once that flash was down, that was the window that G2 needed, and they immediately pounced.
And now what the hell do you do? I don't know.
It's a tough path to navigate for BDS. We'll see if they can mount an incredible reverse sweep, or if G2 will close this one out 3-0 when we return from this quick break.
Freely using Katarina's cook.
Kindred cautiously cooked Kit Kat cupcake. Kindred cautiously cooked Kit Kat cupcake.
Even the biggest champ needs a break.
Kindred cautiously
Cook Kit Kat cupcakes.
care freely using Katarina's cute cookie cutters.
Ooh, I'm on it. I'm ready. Let's go.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Welcome everyone to the Kia Tilt Proof Challenge. We're here to see if 4 gamers can stand up to the test.
Dios mío de mi vida.
I think I lost.
I'm so happy that I didn't eat before.